Hey everyone, this is the Heroes Podcast. I'm so happy to have someone special here today. Someone really special. You will see. His name is Nick Yerhart. How are you?
I'm good, really good, and thank you for having me on.
Yes, I'm really excited about this interview. But before we get into your story, I want to tell everyone who you are. So, Nick is the founder of the Infinite Success Media, where he leverages his expertise as a strategic leader to help others unlock their full potential. I love that one. Living with cerebral palsy, Nick has transformed his personal challenges into a powerful source of resilience and perspective, using his journey to inspire others to overcome their own obstacles. He is dedicated to proving that physical limitations do not define one's capacity for achievement. Oh, I'm very excited. So Nick combines practical business coaching with a transformative mindset, helping clients to bridge the gap between ambition and execution. Welcome on the show. I'm so excited, and I really, I'm really keen to hear how have you made that happen. But please, Nick, could you tell us the beginning? How how about your background? What was the challenge that you had to come through in the beginnings?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the beginning, we might as well start where it began. I was born dead. I had no heartbeat. I wasn't breathing, nothing. Thankfully and obviously, they revived me. But because I wasn't breathing for so long, I had lack of oxygen to my brain. So I had a little brain damage, which is what they call cerebral palsy. For me, it just affects my muscles, just kind of how I move, how I can do things. But you know what? When I got diagnosed, and for a few years after that, the doctor said that I would never walk and I might not talk. They literally said that I would never walk. Well, at age 5 years old, I started walking on my own. And from that moment on, I kind of knew that it doesn't matter what people tell you, it matters what you believe in yourself. And a lot of that has to do with my parents. They raised me that way. Like, they didn't try to stop me from doing anything. In fact, like, I couldn't use my disability as an excuse for anything around my parents. They just didn't care, and I think that's really good. So they always pushed me to figure out what I could do for myself.
And tell me, do you have a few examples for us? What were you able to do that was probably a big surprise for other people like you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the, besides walking, I'd say another one was when I was about 8 years old. My dad told me if I learned how to ride a bicycle without training wheels, he would buy me a go-kart. And I always wanted a go-kart. Well, I think it was 2 weeks later, I had a go-kart. I practiced on that bicycle and I crashed many, many times, but I just kept riding it until I did it. And I remember the day that I was able to ride on my own. We were at our house. My dad was up on a ladder working on the garage, and all of a sudden I yelled, "Dad, Dad, look at me!" And there I was riding on my own. And my dad about fell off the ladder because he was just like so surprised that I was able to do it that quickly, And yep, right after that, he went out and bought me a go kart.
And tell me, what was the hardest with your condition in in your childhood or later? What was difficult?
The most difficult things were, I mean, it was always other people. I had a lot of difficulty with the school system. They just would not give us what we wanted, but what my parents wanted me to have. And, like, it was a struggle just to keep me in mainstream classes, and cerebral palsy doesn't affect my mind. I'm just as smart as anybody else. So, like, I wanted to learn through mainstream schooling because, like, special ed schooling, it doesn't have that level, you know. And nothing wrong with it. I support it, but it says it wasn't for me. So for us to be able to have me in mainstream schooling, I needed an aide that was with me all day so they could write and help me out with things because there are things that are difficult for me to do or things that they just take a while. So it's more efficient if somebody else helps me with that.
Wow, it's very impressive that you've been able to, yeah, live a life
Hmm.
without major setbacks, as I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was 11 years old, I started mowing the lawn for our neighbor. And then when I was 14 years old, I got my first actual job. And I worked all the way up until about 10 months ago when I left my job because, I was just going all in on my business. So, yeah, I mean, I'm 34 years old now, and I worked the whole time, a full-time job, doing a job that most people would never believe that I could do.
And what kind of job is that? Like, what would you be able to do?
Yeah, so my whole career, I worked in the waste removal industry. So at age 21, I got my commercial driver's license, and I drove garbage trucks, just like this one right here.
Yeah,
That is actually a replica of one of the trucks that I had.
fantastic.
So,
You're talking to a truck driver. I did drive trucks
yeah,
for 10 years, so,
awesome.
so
You know how it is.
well done. Um, and how did you evolve your career? Like, what has led you to believe that there is more than a job for you?
So it's gonna go back to another one of the hardest times in my life. In 2019, my dad lost his fight with brain cancer, and he had been fighting it for about 5 years. Earlier in the year that he passed, he asked me, my mom, and my sister if we should sell the company that we had. We had a waste removal company. It started in 2009. Now it's 2019. And at that time, with where we were, we knew that it would be very difficult to keep it going without my dad because he was so involved in it. And at that time, I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know how to run a business or anything like that. So we decided to sell the company, and then, like right after my dad lost his fight, and that was kind of what started my journey into what I do now. Um, I've always been a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And when I lost my dad, I didn't believe that anymore. But as the years have gone on, I realized everything does happen for a reason. Um, my dad, my dad always fought me on moving up in the company. He didn't want me to like take over the company because he always said that I could do much more than run a garbage company. And I always fought him on that. I was like, no, this is what I want. This is what I do. He's like, no, you can do so much more. And here we are. I'm doing so much more. And, unfortunately, it's because I lost my dad. And I had to look at other ways to live. And I had to rediscover myself because for a couple of years after that, I went down into a deep depression, suicidal thoughts, everything. It was rough. And the way that I got out of that was I started working on myself. I started working on my mental health, my mindset, and I started to figure out what I was put here to do. I had to find my purpose, and my purpose was to tell my story to help as many people as I can. And I have a goal to help 1 billion people before I die. So,
Wow, 1 billion. Well,
yep.
I might be a small player. My goal is it was 1 or 10 million. But
Hey, that's really good.
tell me, how did this journey? You said it was a rough time, depression, suicidal thoughts. What helped you to get through this?
You know, I believe in God, and I think He had a lot to do with it because during that time, I mean, I was drinking a lot. I was, just kind of moping around, just being alone too much. We all need human connection, and I just, I was just going down in a spiral, and I had no idea how to get out. One day I woke up, and it was like a voice just came about like in my head that I needed to fix myself or I wasn't gonna be around. And it's like even though like I had suicidal thoughts, like I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to live the way that I was living. And one morning I woke up and I heard that and I was like, all right, let's figure this out. And I can't remember how it happened, but I found the podcast called The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dial. It's the #1 mindset podcast in the world. And I found it. I listened to one episode, and then I just listened to it every day as much as I could for months. And just from what he talked about on that podcast of how you can control what you think, you can control your mindset, whether that's a positive or a negative mindset. Mine was very negative, very negative. And I started to learn that. I didn't know what mindset was before this. I had no idea. And I started to learn, hey, I can control what I think. I can control my surroundings just by what I think. So I just started to take little steps every day to improve myself. And that led me into starting my own business because I realized that I could do a lot more than I was. And I realized that I needed to have a source of income that did not rely on somebody else. I was tired of building somebody else's dream, and I wanted to build my own.
Wow, that's powerful. And did you believe that you are credible as a coach or to
No,
really lead people? How did that go? I'm sorry to, it's too private, just skip the question.
no, I didn't believe I could do it. I honestly didn't believe it. Like, it's like when you're going into business, like being an entrepreneur, you got these ups and downs. It's like you believe, and then it doesn't go the way you think, and then you start to question everything, and then you don't believe in yourself, and then you get a little glimpse of something, and then you start believing it again. But like what I quickly learned was like we we all feel like we're not credible. We all get that imposter syndrome, and Mel Robbins said on one of her podcasts, she's like, remember this. You're not an imposter. You're just a beginner. You're learning. You're trying to figure it out. Once I adopted that mindset, it's been like way better. It's like, okay, I'm not who I know I can be yet because I have a lot to learn. And I think that's good because it keeps me humble and keeps me hungry to learn more to help my clients even better.
Yeah, I love that mindset. That really resonates with me. It's just the feeling of, hey, I'm becoming. I'm
Hmm.
becoming the professional that I will be one day. And until then, all I have is, yeah, either wins or learns.
Yep. Yep.
Some called setbacks or however they are framed. Yet they're just experiences that uh, setting ourselves up for next levels.
Hmm.
So, what would you say? Who are your typical clients that hire you?
My typical clients are entrepreneurs that are within their first 5 years. They're the ones that understand the social because mainly what we do is social media, and we help people market themselves, build their brand, help people figure out who their ideal client is, and you know it it takes a lot when you're starting out to really promote yourself and get traction, get a following. But once you build that following, everything becomes a whole lot easier. And once you build your personal brand and then tie it with your business brand, things just explode. Like me on Facebook right now, I'm reaching 800,000 people a month, which is just incredible. And
Yeah,
that's only over the last 3 years. I started social media 3 years ago. And it's just incredible how if you just keep out and keep posting, keep telling people what you do, and most importantly, keep telling your story. That's what I do the most. I tell my story. I give people all these tips on what helped me so they can implement it into their life. Most of my videos that I post have nothing to do with my business at all. It's all just about helping others because I believe in giving first and then receiving second. So, like, all of my clients, they learn something before they ever pay me anything. And that's how I like it.
absolutely. I hear you. Yet it's very inspiring. Probably I'm not doing something as good as you do with that wonderful following. What would you say to someone who is starting now and want to have following and build a community? What's the biggest hurdle to overcome? What's how to stand out these days on
You
social?
need to, no matter what business you start, you have to understand that you are a content creator first and a business person second. Like, content creation should be the number one priority. And then anything else in your business is second. It sounds weird, but that's how it is. So with that, do what I did. I would record like 3 to 5 videos a day when I was getting started and post all of them. And just like 3 to 5 videos a day on every single platform. I wasn't just on Facebook. I was on every single platform. And it's a lot. But because of that, I now have a following. I now have people that trust me, people that believe that the work that I do works because I've done it for myself. So, if I can do it for myself, I can do it for you. And yeah, because I was committed and consistent on social media, I have the following I have.
Fantastic. That really resonates with me. That yeah, people must have seen you many times, and of course, uh, know, like, trust relationships are based on so many touch points. And
Yeah,
I understand you accelerated that right from the beginning because you didn't just post one
yeah.
content
And
like
like
me.
when I started my podcast, which is called the Infinite Abilities Podcast, I started that. I think it was like 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5 years ago. Um, when I started that, I knew going into it that 97% of podcasts don't get to episode 100 before they quit. So when I started my podcast, I was on a mission to hit the 100th episode as fast as I could. And I hit that within less than 90 days of starting my podcast. I hit 100 episodes. And there were days I was doing 6 episodes a day. It was exhausting, but I did it. And now we've had over 225 guests on the show. Some of those people have become clients. I know a lot of them will be a client in the future just because I built a relationship with them. And not only that is my podcast is all about helping others build the life that they dream of. So everybody that listens, they're going to take away something that is going to improve their life. And honestly, that's all I care about. As long as we can impact one person every episode, I'm good with that.
That's beautiful. What's the best way to engage with you, to follow what you are doing?
Yeah, I mean, any social media platform except for X. I'm not on X, but any other one, you can search me up. Just search Nick Yerhart. I'll pop up. If you want the more personal side of me, which that's usually what people like to see, I go to my personal Facebook, just Nick Yerhart, and you can follow me on there. We're over 18,000 followers on that account alone.
That's powerful. What would you say? Things go well for you. What would you be celebrating in 3 or 5 years' time?
3 to 5 years, you know, I'll be celebrating because I will have built a life where I have financial freedom and, most importantly, location freedom. I want to be able to travel wherever, whenever I want. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to speak on at least one physical stage a month and just travel around helping people. That's what I want more than anything.
I love that. That really resonates because I do love caravanning, and
Hmm.
we did some trips, yeah, in Australia, also in Europe, and I'm keen because the summer's coming up. So again, hope we'll hit the road. What would you say I have not asked that you really wanted to share today, Nick?
You know, if you're let's put it this way, most people they get conditioned over their lifetime to believe that they can't do certain things because people tell them that they can't. And I want you to stop thinking that way and try. Like if I would have believed all of the people that said that I couldn't do something, honestly, I I wouldn't be walking, number one, and I probably would have been living in like a nursing home or assisted living for the past 20 some years. And instead, living my life. I own a home. I bought my home 10 years ago, and it's just because I believed in myself enough to go for it and make things happen. So if you have a goal in life, if you're not living the life that you want, you need to try. And I think the easiest way to do it is to find your purpose, but find that thing that excites you, or find that thing that you can do to help other people and chase it. Because once you find your purpose, everything just kind of goes together. It's not easy, I'm not gonna say that, but you have something to chase every day. You have something that makes you get out of bed every morning and go after it. And if you don't know what your purpose is, then every day it should be your mission to figure out what it is.
Wow, how concise. So wise. Nick, thanks very much. It's been a special time with you, and I really love your energy, your message, and I'm hoping that this episode will be out in front of millions of people across the globe. Uh,
Thank you.
Again, thanks for being here, and I wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see again each other soon.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Celebrating you today, my man.